Hey guys, here today to talk about director Wenders. I think he is just maybe the greatest director of all time in regards to being a foreign director. He's from German, and he came to America perhaps with the most wonder, childlike wonder and mystique his entire filmography from everything I've seen. And everything I've seen from him so far has been a masterpiece, except for one. I'll get into all of that. Um, but I think that is just really special to me because like directors like Antolini, a lot of my favorite foreign directors were a little harsh on kind of American culture and the way that like the '60s impacted it and the way everything evolved. But Wenders honestly had the most heart and compassion behind the American dream and really what America stood for. Like he really had heart behind a lot of his films and the way he portrayed it so colorfully, so gracefully, and just like the something very sweet behind a certain harshness or coldness, you could say, detachment. But there's something beautiful about it all because it's like there's something realistic and real with it, obviously, and understanding. Yeah, so I'll start with 1974, Alice in the Cities. And this film just has the most beautiful heart imaginable. I think again, this is kind of one of those films that kind of opens up a door that I don't personally want to explore in person, but through film, I want to kind of see true childlike wonder. And this, I think, Wenders was able to actually capture that effectively through this film. And I think he was able to capture what it looks like in the city, whatever, just a person. Yeah, and again, I think a lot of like misfits can kind of relate to the concept of just being out in a big city and just not feeling like you can fit in anywhere necessarily. Like, I'll tell you, I have big city anxiety. I guess that's the thing. And this is just a film that really explores what that feels like, literally from a child. And I'm like, yeah, and the fact that we can really like that, it shows me I'm more rural. Like I am a little more of an outsider type. So this film is a film that just explores what that really is, what that means. Because she's like literally stranded on her own stuff the entire way through. Very melancholic is the best way I would describe this tone. Like the entire way through, just has some of the greatest photography of all time. I mean, the melancholy is so beautiful that it just has an impact that the more I watch Wenders films, I'm like, they all impact. Like I saw Paris, Texas, and that blew me away so much to its own gorgeosity and beauty that I was like, how can this other film stack up? But I watched this, and this is just such an emotional film. The entire way through, I just feel very warm, and I just feel like there's a permanent impact that this film leaves. I just think it's important to retain that kind of outlook on life in the healthiest way possible in many ways, I believe, in order to function if you're going to, so have any kind of dream you want to succeed at or any kind of ambition that you want to land, you have to be able to grasp what it is to be in the big city. Even if you don't really, have it in you to the willpower to always face it, you know what I mean? If you don't like that particular kind of rush, um, but you have to face that rush. I mean, it's like that rush is your drive. And that rush is what fuels your art in the end, and makes you, hurt. And like there is like a balance there. It's harsh. It's like I hate. You have to face what you hate in order to find what you love in a lot of ways, and embrace what you love and involve what you love. So this is just a very beautiful film, and I will never forget the impact it's left on me. Truly, this will always leave it a permanent mark that will always guide me through my journey in film and just kind of like really retaining that film itself is trying to communicate what it's like to see things with childlike wonder at the end of the day. And I think that if you can retain that tone the right kind of way, you're a functioning adult in the rest of your life, and have a healthy balance, take care of the things you need to take care of, be healthy, take care, nurture yourself. But the outlook itself is something of just like a sweet spot, and I think that if man and woman can get in tune with that, it's always going to be just okay in the end, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. This is just a film, and I Wenders again can just really tap into this particular notion of the atmosphere, this fogginess, haziness, amidst just wonder. Like you're looking at all these people talking, they're walking around, you know, going into miscellaneous situations. You don't really know what's going on. So it's just, this is a beautiful, beautiful film. We'll move on to 1977. This is just as much of a perfect film. It's called The American Friend. Um, this blew me away. I can't believe this man. Like he just really captured distinctive colors. And this is going to sound a little funny. This album reminds me of the album In Rainbows by Radiohead. Perhaps this metaphorically reminds me of a friend who got me into Radiohead. He got me into In Rainbows. And so I just like saw this film, and it really took me through the emotions that album took me through. It's a kind of like delusion, going through an experience that you don't really understand, but it speaks to your heart. And I think that's what Wenders was trying to capture as the American dream in a lot of ways. And I think that through his European vision, he brought to America like the best outlook most resonating outlook imaginable. Again, it's that childlike wonder, immense just friendship in the harsh adult world. So it's like literally kind of colorful and just capturing just a certain loneliness and depression. But there's like a bonding and understanding that comes outside of that. It reminds me a lot of a portrayal of just um, yeah, just like something very beautiful, honestly. Like, I mean, I was just Dennis Hopper. I just blew me away so much in this. I think he's the best one of the best actors in the '70s. He just represents everything insane and mad about just everything that was happening at the time. I think he's a wonderful walking representation and just very colorful man, crazy, insane. My gosh, and then he kind of had a very beautiful, like, kind of involvement. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's really cool. But this is just crazy. I think that this is a perfectly orchestrated film. I just can't wait to watch it again, truthfully. Because Wenders really is about feeling. I really tapped right into like what he's saying here. Just the beautiful art between the first and second. Like the first, I kind of see like the childlike wonder, and then this one, it's like just the adult perspective, where you're just kind of looking, and you just don't know. Yeah, it's very unique. I have never seen a film like this. That's 1984. He made Paris, Texas. This is the first one I saw in home. The words. Okay, jeez. This is the most fascinating, emotionally immersive film I've ever seen from start to finish. There's always endless long takes of the road, and it just gets you instantly right from the first frame into what a state of loneliness, existential loneliness really looks and feels like. You see a man completely alone, stranded in such beauty at paradise, but he has no one to share it with whatsoever. He's abandoned that since a long time ago. So eventually, the kings and people from his past are to catch up to him. So he kind of finds a way to start to, gradually reach out a lot of ways. There's a lot of, timeless Americana atmosphere the entire way through. This really speaks to me what alternative rock really is. I think of the band R.E.M. so much when I watch this film. Just like existential, you're longing and searching, you're lonely. But when you kind of find a piece of humanity in yourself, like even if you can't be around it forever, you do have a spiritual mark that's left on you permanently. And this is a film that literally is kind of showing to show what, the abandonment, like Americana, a lot of families are just very broken and abandoned, in a lot of ways. And this is just sort of what kind of just like a very, very loose repair looks like in the most beautiful way possible. Like, it just touches me so deeply that, oh yeah, I mean, how do you not just want to tear up numerous times when you see such a beauty? Yeah, I mean, it's just completely personal from start to finish. All the long takes are just beautiful, the most colorful, mesmerizingly just gorgeous outlook on America. Like, that's Wenders, man. He really, I think, got the foreigner perspective of Americana viewpoint that just really resonates perfect. The color schemes are so unforgettable. Like, it just makes me think about just general humanism and the way that you can always find yourself again, when you meet certain people, and you just have to kind of, fight how to hold on to that when you're lonely and alone. It's like, but it's not, it's almost like impersonal love. I think that's the best way I describe the tone of a lot of this. It's like Wenders in general. I mean, like this film and Wenders, like impersonal love, I think is being able to retain your greater good and holding on to like the mark that people leave on you without associating it with them, but rather associating people in the first place with the greater good as you spend time with them. Like, I think I've always kind of liked to look at things as impersonal love because I think it's better in the end. It kind of does lead to like you building yourself to be your best point, but don't share the ugly ego side necessarily. I think this is a film that a guy who doesn't know how to be around people for too long because his ugly ego is going to be overbearing and overwhelming. So he kind of likes to live alone for the most part. So he can wrestle with his demons, and it's beautiful to do so. I think that a man who wrestles with his demons as hard as his heaven is just perfect, and this is a man who does that. But again, it's like a man can be this beautiful, but he's not really, he has nothing to do with it. It's like he just lives on his own, he lives in his imagination eternally. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this is all about the loose acceptance. He's kind of shows that he just unfortunately isn't the most stable kind of father figure, but he really is just a beautiful man who did leave us something of an impact on his kid to kind of like yeah, if I remember correctly, he seemed to like photography and stuff, and the way he ends up finding his mom and ends up having someone in the end, it just resonates so deeply. It's so colorful and human that I believe that this is just a film that really explores what it is to find yourself again in people after you haven't had that in such a long time. Like, I think that really is just a beautiful mark to live on somebody. It doesn't matter who, at the end of the day. Just as long as you kind of can, find something that actually motivates your spirit, speaks to your spirit, moves you forward. And you keep doing the right thing, keeping it cool. And, I think that's what a lot of this is. Again, Wenders really was, I think, fascinated by the very distinctive eye of America. Something else different than so many others, for so many others I've seen. Just really what it is to get all that. Then we get to 1987, Wings of Desire. Okay, so what really drew me to this is initially the Nick Cave extended concert sequence. It's like 20 or 30 minutes long, and it's just one of the best scenes ever. I think this is just such a fascinating and beautiful film the entire way through. Like, God, it's just every over the line of dialogue, you just want to pause and just ponder for a while and look at the black and white visuals that contrast with all that, because it's just so beautiful, and you just kind of feel something that's cold as well. I think that this is perhaps the coldest film in its filmography, and that's why this is the most acquired. It took me the longest to really appreciate fully, because I think when I first saw it, it's just like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel something spiritually beautiful is happening. As I get older, I think I can just resonate a little more with that. It's going to see, like, there's something odd and beautiful at the same time. Like, there's something kind of awkward about a lot of the, angel being on Earth, I think, is a lot of it. Having an angelic view on Earth. Whatever, it doesn't seem like anyone else around you has that. So you have to kind of find your own ground and do it your way. This is a film that kind of shows what it is to leave that spiritual mark on other people. You have actor Peter Falk also, man. His work as on Cassavetes is great. Here it's just so great how he always just kind of comes out of nowhere in this airport scene. It's such a great cameo the entire way through. I love this director, man. He made so many masterpieces. I can only go watch this again because now I've seen The American Friend and Alice in the Cities. I can further acquire just a mastery of what's going on in this film the entire way. It's beautiful, masterpiece. 1991, Until the End of the World. Okay, so this is going to be my weird final mark about this director. This is perhaps one of the most ambitious film he did, and this is a failure. Yeah, this was not very good in my opinion. I did not like this. It's almost 5 hours long, and not too much is really happening. I think the entire concept of it is stylized in the sense of Wenders, I think, wants to take you through the whole world. He had a Wonderland outlook on life that was expressed throughout all of those previously aforementioned films. And now he wants to just be like, let's go all around the world and say it. And then I think that's ugly. The actors were sure you got good actors, sure you got a great 90s soundtrack. That's what hurts the most. I think this might be the ultimate everything around it is perfect. I think even REM was behind all this. It's one of my favorite art ever from the 80s. Was behind stuff like this, but unfortunately the film just isn't going anywhere at all. So it just ends up being an unnecessary bore. So and I just, when I was watching this, I just remember rewinding the scenes numerous times just to make sure. I'm like, I don't know, this just isn't feeling right to me in a weird way. I just don't feel like I can really get into the drift of what's going on here. It's just such a mundane plot going around. Like, it's about the most basic kind of just romance story that just kind of goes on and on and on. And it has nothing to say whatsoever about it. It's just a very all right, yep, let's go around the world. Let's go around the world. I don't know. I'm not trying to merit there's not substance behind it. It just didn't give me the substance. I'm sure someone who loved it could argue with it, and I'm sure we could see a masterpiece of this. But this is just what I got. So I guess in the end of the day, there just wasn't any kind of spark living in this. I felt it was just all kind of showy. Felt like it just was up its ass. Yeah, very, very up its ass. I think that's the best way to put it. But Wenders is such a genius, so I'm done not even knocking that. So I love this director, man. He's a masterful.